Hello, class. This is Mr. Hart, and in this podcast, we're going to talk about amortization. And this is probably one of the most important concepts you'll ever learn in personal finance. Okay, understanding this concept can probably save you tens of thousands of dollars in your lifetime if you understand how to beat amortization. Okay, but before we can talk a lot about what amortization is, we have to go back a little bit and think about this monthly payment that we learned to calculate. Okay, so we spent a lot of time on the last couple of lessons talking about how to calculate monthly payments for loans, how we can change our monthly payments. But through it all, there's kind of this key idea, okay? For each monthly payment you make on any type of loan, okay, it's going to go towards paying off interest first, then going to go towards paying off principal, okay? And then any extra money that you put into a monthly payment goes toward paying your principal, okay? And so that equation I showed you is for calculating monthly payments. Again, you pay that interest first, then you pay that principal. Anything extra also goes towards your principal as well. Okay, so amortization deals with how we make our monthly payments. Okay, because the banks, of course, are going to always want to make as much money as possible, and because they understand this principle that you have to pay the interest first, then the principal, they have modified a lot of loans. And I think pretty much nowadays every loan's defaulted this way, that they're amortized, okay? And what amortization is a type of loan repayment schedule that keeps a consistent payment amount for the duration of the loan, okay? And I'll show you what that means in a second, but go ahead and write this down because this is going to be very important. So the loan initially pays more towards interest, then towards the end of the loan it pays more towards principal, okay? And so pause the video if you need to, write this down really quick. But let me show you what this actually looks like. Okay, because keep in mind when we calculate that monthly payment, that equation I showed you, I said it was an overestimate. And because of amortization, that's why it's an overestimate. Okay, and it comes down to this idea right here. Okay, so we have two types of loans, non-amortized and amortized. Okay, and this calculation that I was showing you was for a non-amortized loan. So the idea is there's a certain amount of principal you're trying to pay each month in order to pay everything off within the term of the loan. Okay, this is an example of a 30-year loan. Okay, and so you'd have a certain amount towards principal each month so that by the end of that 30-year term, you've paid off all the principal. Okay, but again, you also got to pay all the interest off as well. So initially when the loan is very high in balance, has a very high balance, okay, you're going to be paying a lot of interest because the amount of interest charged is going to be dependent on the balance. You're going to have a lot more interest you need to pay. So when I gave you that monthly calculation, it was for this initial amount, right? How much principal do you need to pay? How much interest do you have to pay? It depends on the loan amount and the terms and all that, right? The APR and everything like that. But if we really had a non-amortized loan, after a certain amount of time, that interest is going to go down over that 30-year term, right? Or however long that term is, right? Because you're lowering the balance. Okay, the amount of interest you need to pay goes down because the balance is lower, and so over time your interest would basically go to zero. Okay, that's a non-amortized loan. You start out with a very large payment and it slowly shrinks down to a small monthly payment. So for a home, for example, you may start with $1,000 payment and it would go down to like a $400 payment by the end because you're keeping the principal consistent and the interest is going down slowly. Okay. So that's non-amortized. Let's see how an amortized loan works. And again, this is in order for the banks to make more interest. So the idea of a amortized loan is trying to keep the monthly payment the same. So in a non-amortized loan, you start with like $1,000 payment, right? And it shrinks down to $400 over time down here. But with an amortized loan, you're keeping a consistent payment the entire time. Okay. So instead of going from $1,000 per month, let's say, to maybe $400 per month, you stay at $800 per month the entire time. Okay? But notice what happens. Because your payment starts smaller initially than it should be, and we're trying to keep that consistent amount, notice that you're paying less in principal initially. Okay? And so yes, you keep that consistent payment, but your principal starts really low and gets really big towards the end. Okay? Overall, that means the bank makes more interest. Okay, and the reason why is because you start out with a lot or a very high balance on your loan for a very long time. Because you're paying so little towards principal at the beginning, it takes a very long time to get some more principal and less interest on your loan. Okay, so over a 30-year loan, it may take you a good 10, 15 years before you're paying half principal, half interest. Okay, and so this is the bank's trick. The amortized loans keep you paying principal, or keep you paying small amounts of principal for longer, so that they can get more interest on the very high end of the loan. Okay, so they will probably sell it to you. If you ask about this, they'll probably sell it to you as a benefit that your payment's the same the whole time, and it's smaller than if you started with a non-amortized loan. Okay, but nowadays, again, most people don't even realize this is happening. They just sign up for the loan, and it's pretty much defaulted to be amortized now. Okay, I don't even know if you can apply for a non-amortized loan. Okay, so again, this is the trick of the banks, right? They wanted to make more money. This is how it works. So the question is, how do you beat amortization? And the way to beat it is to basically treat your amortized loan like a non-amortized loan. Okay, so here's some key ideas on how to beat amortization. So keep in mind that even though the monthly payment goes down, the bank makes more money off of this amortized loan because the interest stays higher for longer. Okay, your loan total stays higher, so the interest stays higher for a longer amount of time. Okay, so the best way to beat amortization is to pay more than the minimum payment initially, so that more money goes towards the principal off the loan. Okay, any extra money that you can put in those like first 5 years of a mortgage, for example, on a home loan, okay, if you can even do like $100 a month extra on an amortized loan, you are getting that $100 directly towards principal, and it could take 5 years off your loan and save you thousands of dollars. Okay, it's crazy that it works like that, but that's how it ends up being because of this system. Okay, because so little is going towards principal initially, anything extra is just going to compound tremendously and save you a lot of money. Okay, so I can talk about this all day, but let's actually look at the numbers, see how we can do this. Okay, and because this is such a tricky equation to work with, I'm not going to make you calculate it. What I've done is I provided a sheet that kind of shows you how this works. All right, so to use the calculator, all you're going to do is go to hearthomework.com. And then under the homework assignment, you'll notice there's the actual homework page, but there's also the calculator you're going to use. Okay, this Excel sheet or this Google sheet that I've made. Okay, and it's going to show us how this all works. Now, keep in mind, before you can use it, you actually have to make a copy. This is a view-only version, so you need to make a copy, and then it will let you actually work with the numbers and edit it. Okay, but let's just look at how this amortization works and how this Excel sheet works. Okay, so if you notice here, there's 3 things we got to put in for any type of loan, right? We've talked about these before. Every loan has a principal amount. It's got a rate or an APR that's being charged per year, and it's got a term or a time in years. Okay, and so this sheet shows us 2 things. Okay, well, actually it shows us a lot of things, but there's 2 main things. Okay, the first big one is it's going to show us the minimum payment right here. Okay, so if I had a loan for $150,000 and a 3.5% APR or 30 years, okay, this is how much I'd have to pay per month. Okay, $673.57. Okay, according to the amortized loan. Okay, this is not the equation that we learned in class. This is for an amortized loan where they kind of shrink that minimum payment and keep it consistent for the whole life of the loan. Okay, so that would be the expected payment amount, $673.57. Okay, then it tells us some other numbers right here. This is the total interest paid over the life of the loan. This is how many payments we would make, and so on. Okay, then over here, okay, it shows us for every single payment that we make, how much is going towards principal, how much is going towards interest. Okay, so after our first payment, our first monthly payment, we pay that $673.57. $437 is going towards interest, and only $236 is going towards principal. Okay, so I can only take $236 off my balance. Okay, and so after 2 payments, we can see 3 payments, so on and so forth. So it goes all the way down to 360 payments, and it shows us all the interest paid, all the principals paid, the balances after each month. Okay, so we can see exactly what our balance will look like after each individual payment. Okay, so it's a pretty cool sheet, tells us a lot of information. Okay, but let's do some comparisons looking at these amortized loans. Okay, so this is a pretty small loan. $150,000 is a very cheap house. Okay, and 3.5% is a pretty good APR. But just notice, okay, even at this pretty decent loan, we're paying $92,000 in interest over the life of the loan. Okay. Again, why is that? Because so much of our amount is going towards interest, and so little of it is going towards principal at the beginning. Okay. So it takes us about, let's see, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, it takes us until about, let's say, about right here. 123 payments. Okay, about 10 years before we're paying as much in principal as we are in interest. Okay, for a higher interest rate like 5%, you're talking 15 years before you're paying off as much in principal as you are in interest. Okay, so for that whole 10 years on this loan, most of our money is going towards interest and not towards principal. Okay, because of the amortization. All right, so again, how do we beat this? How do we not end up paying so much amount in interest? How do we beat the bank, basically? And again, the way to do it is to treat it like it's non-amortized. Okay, and so we need to pay a little bit extra per month. So watch, even if I'd pay $50 extra per month, not a whole lot, just $50 extra per month, watch what happens. Okay, that's going to change our actual payment to be $50 more. So now our actual payment is $723 per month. But notice, now our total interest paid is $80,000. Okay? Before, it was $92,000. So that extra $50 a month, just an extra $50 a month, saves us $12,000 in interest over the life of the loan. Okay? That's crazy if you think about it. $12,000 in interest over just $50 a month. Okay, and that's not because the $50 is paying towards that interest. That's literally because that much interest is being charged up front. So knocking off $50 in principal each month saves us $12,000 in interest. That's crazy. If you do $100 a month, extra $100 a month, our payment's now $773. Again, we knock out about another $10,000 in interest, or save $22,000 total. Okay. That's nuts because of this amortized loan. You're paying so much in interest, right? So just adding that extra amount each month saves you huge amounts in interest over time. Okay. Also notice the number of payments. Adding that extra $100 per month cuts our payments down to $287. Okay, or about 80 payments less than normal. Okay, you're talking good, maybe 5 years off your loan by adding just $100 more per month. Okay. So again, that's how you beat the bank with amortization. Okay, they want to keep you at the minimum payment because they want you to pay as much interest as possible. So adding just a little bit more per month saves you tons of money. Okay, we're talking again tens of thousands of dollars if you understand this. Okay, and again, this is for a low APR. If we did like 5.5%, okay, we're paying, let's see, we'd have an $851 payment. You're paying $156,000 in interest, which is more than the principal of the loan. Okay, so adding $100 extra per month on this one saves you a ton of money. Okay, $40,000 in interest. Okay, so again, it's huge. That little amount, you wouldn't think it would do that much, but that little amount, because it's going towards principal and not interest, saves you tens of thousands of dollars. Okay, so this is again why it's the most important lesson I probably give all year, is because if you understand this, you're saving yourself tons of money. Okay, so there you go. That's amortization. Understanding that little principal again is huge. Let me show you how you do your homework really quick. So on your homework, you're going to be given some information about a person or the part of a loan they have, and you're trying to use the amortization calculator. So again, I'm going to go back to hearthomework.com. Okay, and you click on homework 4.3, and it's just going to give you some situations. Okay, so for example, Todd gets an amortized 5-year loan at 4% interest. If the loan is for $9,000, how much will the minimum payment be? Okay, so we just got to use this calculator. So we're going to say, okay, his loan was for $9,000. Okay, so that means we're going to have a $9,000 principal. the amortization, or sorry, the APR was 4% right here, 4% interest. So we just plug in 4%. And then the term of the loan was 5 years. Okay. So, and we're not paying anything extra per month. So there we go. So now we can see, oh, the minimum payment's $165.75 for this particular loan. Okay. So that's all you'd put in. So that means the minimum payment was $165.75. Okay. And then how much total interest will Todd pay on the loan? Again, you're just going to look. Okay, total interest paid is right there, $944.92. Okay, and there you go. You plug that in, and you just keep doing that. So all these questions, you're just using the amortization schedule calculator to compare different loans, different payments, how much adding extra per month will save in interest, that type of thing. Okay, but hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for watching.